New Year! Hello, and welcome to a brand new announcement by the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name, because if what is old is new, and what is new is old, and should old acquaintance be forgot, then boy, do we have a stunning piece of news for you. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For at Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. Our podcast episodes are published every Wednesday. Sometimes blog posts are published Tuesdays. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're now on all the big clients, if you didn't already know. If you've been listening to us for a while, but you get the information even if you haven't, you know that Couch Potatoes Unite! Is a podcast for TV fans of all types. We're avid TV watchers who like to connect with other avid TV watchers for the purpose of rhetorically appreciating and critiquing the unique long-form storytelling that is television. Here at CPU, we're not about hyper-analysis of each episode of one given TV series. Rather, in each of our episodes, we react as TV fans would react, for better or for worse, about whole seasons, half seasons, special event episodes, or even entire runs of television shows. Our panels are made up of 3 to 7 participants, which include a moderator, and they gather around the water cooler to talk about new and current TV. They look back at shows of yesteryear and yore, and they engage in multi-part series covering our favorite shows and a wide variety of them at that, from drama to comedy, from straightforward to science fiction and fantasy, from superhero to arch-villain. What you might not know, though, is a little bit about our backstory. Everybody's got to have a backstory. You see, once upon a time, no, not that show, once upon a time, podcasts were all the rage in the decade known as the 20-teens, a trend that saw no signs of abating in 2020 and are about on course to do the same in 2021. There is a sea of literally thousands of podcasts, of which we are but one. Some of them are really big, with loyal fan bases and network and advertising support. I mean, they kind of have all the bells and whistles. Some of them don't. Here at CPU, we like to think that we've reached a threshold of small to mid-size. We know there are people out there listening. We know that new people find us all the time, but we're still kind of small potatoes. We're hoping to be big potatoes, or at least bigger potatoes, because the bigger potatoes they are, the better they are for mashing, but that's a whole other podcast. You see, here's the trick of it. When Chief Couch Potato Kylie, okay, that's me, and it's really just another name for executive producer. When I started this podcast in 2014, I was looking for a way to turn what was a very tiny blog about TV with a very limited following into a larger conversation with fun people rather than writing in an echo chamber that people may or may not have read. I personally have a community theater background. Most of my experience is in technical theater, and I was yearning for a new creative outlet. Plus, with personal and professional circumstances sometimes getting in the way, I needed to seek some balance and a little more rest, and I was already writing about my long-cultivated TV addiction, but yearning for the collaborative atmosphere that came with creative endeavors like theater. And then I learned about podcasts. I essentially started this podcast for a lark. I really was just hoping to turn reflections on America's great indoor pastime, television, into a chance to connect. I mean, what topic of conversation is going to be least controversial in a waiting room when you're looking to pass the time and you've gone beyond pleasantries? You don't want to talk about politics. If you're in a health situation, you don't necessarily want to talk about that. So what do we often fall back to talk on? TV and movies. I never expected our podcast to grow as it has. In fact, I kind of figured I'd just keep going until people didn't want to talk about TV with me anymore. And we're not there yet. We're still growing. People still want to talk about TV, and they seem to want to do it with me, and that's really nice. And so now we're kind of at a point where we have some needs here, people. And the reason why is some podcasts get picked up by networks. Some podcast producers are independently wealthy. This podcast and this producer is neither one of those things. No cost and low cost is how I approached this when I piloted this podcast in 2015. Because again, it was for a lark at the time. The only money I spent on this podcast was really in equipment and software and incidentals just to make sure we sounded good or as good as we could make it, and sounded interesting in a way that, maybe wasn't professional, but didn't suck. Now we're out there, we have the content, we have something of a presence. We think it's time to start taking steps toward the so-called big time, like maybe getting a real website with an actual domain, a reliable archive host, the chance to offer really cool swag. We're very excited about swag. And also the ability financially to maybe put on some events of our own, or to be able to attend more of those bigger events like Comic-Cons that we've really loved doing in the past. And I'm confident our world will find our way back to those types of things again. So all of that said, we are now here with the big announcement, the special message for 2021. Drum roll, please! Oh wait, there's nobody around me and I don't do drum rolls, so imagine a drum roll. Couch Potatoes Unite! ! Is now, as of right this moment, on Patreon. That's right, the central locus for all creative types looking to monetize their creations. One of its members, or profiles, or accounts is now the podcast you know as Couch Potatoes Unite. Brand new for 2021, you can subscribe to CPU! via Patreon because, like I said, we have needs, and in an effort to get fancier, to upgrade some of our stuff, to build some capacity, Couch Potatoes Unite is on Patreon, and we're doing the tiers with the perks. So what you can do is you have the opportunity, if you so choose, to subscribe for perks, which includes member-exclusive email and Discord access by which to talk with our Couch Potatoes individually, as well as to have questions answered, which we will do in our episodes, in a segment that we call CPU Mailbag. We're going to have bonus content available, including special episodes, outtakes, and little performances by our largely theater-based team of Couch Potatoes and Couch Potatoes adjacent. Seriously, it's who you know, people. We're going to have TV-themed merch, and we're also going to provide the ability to join CPU for occasional watch parties, and in so doing, possibly to place priority requests for the shows and series that we cover on the podcast. Plus, you'll get patron-only sneak peeks at upcoming production schedules and things of that nature, because we do record sometimes well in advance, and we try to schedule out a few months if we can help it, which frankly has been happening more and more during what is now known as the COVID-19 pandemic. If any of this sounds like fun to you, head on over to Patreon or download the app and search for our name, Couch Potatoes Unite! Don't forget that exclamation point. It's very important punctuation where we're concerned. In the meantime, CPU is still hosted at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com. We can still be emailed at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or you can subscribe to us directly at our website via the big podcast clients, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, all the names are in there, as well as YouTube. CPU, of course, is produced by Back Pocket Productions, and we hail from a little town called Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider that we haven't already covered, or even feature formats, contact us at our website or email our social media, now at Patreon, though of course we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. In fact, by way of preview, because I can't do one of these announcements without a little teaser, we have several more new episodes coming down the pike. In the month of January 2021, our first 2 weeks of the year kick off with the return of our DCTU series panel and their annual marathon of reviews of the Arrowverse shows, or the CW-verse shows. We don't necessarily endorse or condone that rebranding, however. They're going to be catching up on Season 3 of Black Lightning, somewhat to their dismay, and they're going to quickly run through and recap Season 6 of The Flash. Our Star Trek 50 Plus series panel will return in Week 3 to continue their review of Star Trek The Next Generation with Season 4, and then one of our panelists, Eddie, will be taking a solo spot at the moderating microphone to talk about a series for which one of our CPU panels jumped the shark, How to Get Away with Murder. In fact, Eddie co-moderated that panel when they kicked off our Shark Jumpers Anonymous series, but ended up persevering, partially due to quarantine, with How to Get Away with Murder until the very end. So stay tuned, you won't want to miss Eddie's final thoughts. And of course, if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, we're everywhere. Just find us. Come to our website. We are easily Googled. Our name comes up right away. And of course, you can subscribe at all of our channels, accounts, and now officially Patreon to stay up on new events and episodes. And if you have nominations for shows or features or anything else we should cover, contact us in all the ways. You can volunteer to be a panelist too. It's true. In the meantime, until next actual episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching. Happy New Year, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.